When I heard there was going to be a Chainsaw Man anime adaptation, I had extremely high expectations. The manga always stood out and really captivated me with just the crazy unpredictability and amazing character writing, so it easily took over as one of my favorite mangas ever. It has an extremely fast pace, but it's done in such a way that nothing feels rushed and all of the characters have time to actually develop and grow. You become really attached to all of the characters and want nothing more than to see them succeed and to see what their goals will eventually become over time, and just how everything in this amazingly brutal and unforgiving world will play out with every twist and turn thrown at you. And I was honestly worried that the anime might just end up another mediocre cash grab of a shit show that took everything amazing about the story and just threw it out, leaving another generic cookie cutter seasonal pile of garbage. But now that the first season of the anime is finished, I think it's safe to say that it lived up to my expectations. First of all, the intro absolutely slapped, and all of the different outros have been amazing to sit and listen to on repeat. I wish that more shows would either go down the route of unique intros or outros for each episode, or just one intro for the first episode and never again. But realistically, that's a lot more work for something a lot of people just skip through anyway. But with each outro being completely unique, it really made it so you just wanted to sit and take the time to go through the entire outro each time, and really appreciate all of the effort that went into the credits alone. I think that the outros really added to the show despite being a very small amount of time at the end of each episode, but they were all done in a completely different style with different songs that just added to everything that happened in the episode, and it felt more like a continuation of the story instead of just a somewhat boring AMV that you get to watch like 12 times. I really appreciated every single outro that they did, and it's definitely something that helps Chainsaw Man stand out even more than it already does. Another thing that makes it stand out for better or for worse is the animation. I don't necessarily think that it's the best looking show ever, but I mean, it looks pretty damn good, and certainly better than most shows out there today. But the biggest issue is with the CGI that they used in the show. I was more than a little hesitant with the amount of CGI that was actually involved in the show, but it was done surprisingly well. Most of the time, the CGI just looks like absolute shit in normal shows because it's way too clean and smooth looking, but it was never really a main focal point here and only really came out with the chaotic animations of fight scenes, which probably benefited a lot from being CGI. I think that CGI in most anime still needs a lot of work, but seeing how well it was actually used in this adaptation makes me a little bit hopeful that the industry is moving in the right direction, with less emphasis on entire shows being made out of CGI, and more of them using it as a tool to enhance their actual animation. The last thing I wanted to touch upon is just how well the writing actually stuck to the source, which was probably for the best considering how absolutely unhinged a lot of the vocal Chainsaw Man fandom can be at times. But since Tokyo Ghoul Ri's adaptation and the dumpster fire of Domestic Girlfriend's anime, I've been a bit nervous with series having content cut or rewriting parts to fit a specific storyline better, especially with the series that I like as much as I like Chainsaw Man. With each different medium adaptation, you end up having to cut more and more content, from a novel to a manga, then to an animation. You probably end up cutting a lot of content that a majority of actual fans will really just freak out about. But as far as that stuff goes, I didn't really notice anything insane that was cut from the anime that the manga actually had. Well, besides Power's foot. That was unforgivable. But they did a really good job of bringing everything from the manga into the animation. At least as far as I could tell. But I think that just about everything in the show was nearly perfect. Also, just Denji and Power are two of the most interestingly chaotic characters ever written, and getting to see them and all their nonsense in an animation is just so much better than I could have hoped for. Watching them fuck around and have to be reined in by Aki is one of my favorite dynamics between any main character group, and it makes me want to see the aftermath of the Darkness Devil even more. It's always really refreshing to see characters that you absolutely adore being given life through animation and voice acting, and basically every character in the show gave me that feeling of, holy shit, they're great. For the past year or two, I've been really struggling to find enjoyment with watching anime or reading any comics or manga at all, but one of the few constants that I've always been able to go back to has been Chainsaw Man, at least since the anime's trailer and part 2 of the manga began. So I had some pretty high hopes going into it. I even managed to convince my female companion to read through the entirety of it, so I had at least somebody to talk to regularly with each new chapter release. And she absolutely loves it too, by the way, and is totally definitely a real person. I think that the Chainsaw Man adaptation went just about as well as it possibly could have, and now I can't wait to see the rest of the series actually come to life. Anime-only fans have absolutely no idea how crazy everything's about to get. But for now, we just have to wait for the Netflix live-action adaptation to actually ruin the series, because the anime sure didn't.